Alright you guys, so this is part 2 of my Diva Basics makeup series. So first we talked about foundation, which I ended off here, and so now we're going to talk about highlighting and contouring. And so we're going to start with the purpose of highlighting and contouring. So I talked about in the first video how your face is not one-dimensional, it's not just one shade. And so as you can see here, I'm all one shade, and I feel like it looks a bit odd. Nobody is one shade, especially not women of color. We are all different colors. And so highlighting and contour brings dimension back into the face, and then it also kind of helps to mimic your natural highlights and contours. As you can see, I naturally have a contour here, as most people do, especially women of color. We naturally have contour here. We're naturally a little bit darker around here, darker around the mouth area, and lighter in the center of the face. And so highlighting and contouring essentially just kind of brings that back into the skin after we done muted it out with the foundation. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so general rule of thumb, if you're looking for concealers, and when I'm talking about concealers, I'm talking about highlighting concealers. There's two different types. There are concealers that are your skin tone that you use to cover blemishes or dark spots here, and then there are highlighting concealers. It's not that you're looking for something that says highlighting concealer or whatever. It's just the shade that you choose in the concealer. So you choose a flesh tone shade, a skin tone shade if you're trying to cover blemishes and stuff, and then you would choose a shade, essentially 2 shades lighter than your skin tone if you're looking to highlight. And so that's what I have today. I'm using the Born This Way concealer in the shade Mocha, and then I also use the Makeup Forever concealer in the shade number 42, I believe. 45, I'm sorry, in the shade 45. And then I also use my beloved LA Girl Pro Conceal in the shade Fawn. I do not use them all at the same time, but those are the ones that I like to use. So for today, I'm going to use these that I actually do use together. I'm going to use my, okay, wait a minute. I took us too fast. Okay, so that's how, like I said, your highlighting concealer is typically 2 shades lighter than your skin tone. As far as contour, your contour is typically a shade or 2 darker than your skin tone. You can also use a bronzer or whatever, and your contour, like I said, brings dimension and you know, kind of sculpts the face a little bit. So when you're thinking about areas that you highlight, again, you highlight if you think about if the sun or the light was to hit your face, where would the light hit? The light would hit the areas that point out, which is your forehead, your nose, here, and your chin. So contouring is pretty much kind of slim in certain areas, and then highlighting is more so highlighting or bringing attention or light to certain areas too. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So first we're going to get into highlighting. So I'm going to use the Born This Way concealer, and I'm just using the doe foot applicator, and I'm going to highlight under my eyes. So when I highlight under the eyes, I like to make this triangle here, and I don't like to take it too far out. Because once you blend your product out, it's going to move anyway. And again, the areas that you highlight, you make wider, and I don't want my highlight to come all the way down here. So I'm just kind of keeping it in this particular zone. Because that's where I want my focal point to be. Alright, so now we are going to highlight our forehead, the bridge of my nose. So when I do my forehead, again, you highlight the areas. Wherever you highlight, it's going to bring attention to. So if you highlight wide, it's going to make your forehead wider, which is great for those with, you know, narrow foreheads. If you have a bigger forehead, I'm sorry, which is great. Okay. If I was to highlight all of this area, it would make my forehead look just that big, right? If I was to highlight this little area, then it would kind of minimize my forehead. So the area that you highlight or not, is just kind of it's kind of like playing with the shape in a sense. So for me, I'm okay with my forehead shape. I don't like to highlight a lot, so I just kind of go in this little area here, kind of make a sun, right? And then I just kind of drag it down the center of the nose. And when you're doing the center of your nose, you do want to kind of make sure it is centered, because if you do this crooked, it'll make your nose look crooked. Because again, we are drawing attention to these areas, so be mindful of that. But yeah, I just make like a little small sun, bring it down the nose. I do highlight my Cupid's bow, and then you can highlight your chin. I don't, just because sometimes I find when I highlight my chin, it kind of makes a lighter area between my chin and my neck and my chest, and I don't like that. So I just highlight here, literally in the center of my face. So now when it comes to contouring, again, you go a shade or two darker than your skin tone. You just have to be kind of careful with contouring, because you can go real crazy real fast, okay? So I'm going to use the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop concealer in the shade Walnut, I believe. Yeah, I think it's the shade Walnut. And I am going to work pretty fast with this because it dries really fast, and once it's dry, it's like set. So excuse me. Again, we're getting into contouring, you are chiseling out your face, making certain areas smaller, right? So again, we have this natural contour here. You suck in your cheeks, or again, I just follow my natural contour line here. And I kind of start from the sideburn area and just kind of go down here. Just there. I don't bring it all the way down here because I just don't like that look. I just like to keep it here. And then again, once you blend, it's going to move anyway. And again, I like to start at my sideburn area. And again, I have a natural contour, so I really just follow that. And I like to make sure I stay above this and not below, because if it's too low, it just looks odd. So I like to start at the sideburn area and just kind of bring that down here. Yeah, just about to the halfway point here. Okay. At the forehead, I'm just gonna kind of do that there. Again, I like to contour my forehead, but I don't like to go too crazy, just because I don't dislike my forehead. It's cool or whatever. And then we're gonna chisel the nose, and I'm gonna do the nose last because, like I said, this stuff dries really fast, and I don't want it to like dry down on my nose. So let me blend this out, and then I'll come back and do my nose. So I'm gonna take a beauty blender, and I'm gonna spray it with some, this is kind of like Fix Plus. This is by Makeup Revolution. It doesn't matter, I'm not picky on the sprays. And then I'm just gonna take the butt of the beauty blender and blend this out. And when I'm blending it out, I just kind of keep this in the area, and you can move it up, you know, you can move the product around, but you definitely don't want to drag it down here, because I mean, it just looks odd. That's the best way I can tell y'all. It just looks really crazy. And at that point, if you wanted to kind of bring it around here, you could. I just don't like to make a line there. I just prefer to move the product because I don't want a lot. So while I'm blending this out, I'm going to talk to you guys about the different types of contouring and highlighting products. Of course, just like our foundations, you have cream contour, you have liquid contour, like I use, this would be considered a liquid, and then you also have powder contour. And again, it's not that you go to the store and say, hey, I want to contour liquid. No, it's just you would look for concealers or foundations, powders or whatever, and you just get a shade or two lighter and a shade or two darker and use that for your highlighting and your contour. Typically, you look for, when it comes to highlighting and contour, you typically are going to use a concealer. You can use a foundation. Again, there's no rules to this. You'll use whatever you want to. Typically, when I'm looking for highlighting and contouring shades, I stick with a concealer or I stick with a powder. I don't really use foundation to contour. No particular reason why, I just don't. But you could if you want to. The only thing is a concealer is going to be a bit of a thicker consistency. So especially when you're looking to highlight under your eyes and stuff, you don't want something sheer. Typically you want something a little bit heavier, and a concealer is going to have that heavier consistency that you need for this tool. But again, you can use a foundation if you want to. They're interchangeable. There's no rules to this. You do what you want to do, but typically a concealer will work best because it is a bit of a fuller coverage. So you're going to get that coverage under your eyes. You're going to get that good chisel contour. Look, oh, she cute, she cute. Look at it. Yes. So I love a good contour, honey. And so now that that's done, I hope you guys can see how I blended that out. And then once I'm done, if there are any areas that I feel like are harsh, I take my foundation brush. There's no extra foundation on it, but I'll just kind of go back over that area. And typically when it comes to my contour, I want to make sure that there's no harsh lines and everything like that. So now that that's done, we're going to do the contour of the nose. Now I'm really gonna be strategic with this. I'm just placing little dots on the sides of my nose. Now the reason I didn't do a full-on line, again, because this stuff dries quick, and then also I don't like a super hard nose contour. Just personal preference, I don't. So, and you can see as I'm blending this out, and I'm just taking a fluffy brush and blending it out. You see how that product spread a lot? So that's why I don't like to put a lot. I like to do a little bit. You can always add more, but you can't really kind of take it back. So I prefer to kind of take it light on the nose contour and then go in and make it heavier if need be, than to go in and then I'm looking crazy. Or I gotta go fix it. I ain't gonna say I'm looking crazy, but I prefer to do that than try to fix it. So just gonna go in with my beauty blender. I'm gonna squeeze it like this and just kind of blend that out. Okay, I know I was talking through that, but pretty much when it comes to your nose, if you want to make your nose smaller, you would pretty much do that with the lines that you put on your nose or the dots. You're pretty much going in and chiseling out your nose how you want it to be. For my ladies with the wider nose who want to chisel it, if you have a smaller nose and you don't want to, you don't have to contour. Or I would just use a powder. A powder is not as hard or as deep as a concealer. Hope that makes sense. But yeah, so now that our contour is all the way done, I'm gonna go ahead and blend out our concealer. And I like to start with this area. Because when I start with the eyes first, I feel like the product transfers to this area. I don't want more product in the center of my face. So I'm gonna do that. And while we're blending out this concealer, just a general rule of thumb, I think I told you guys, as far as your concealer, the general rule of thumb is to go 2 shades lighter than your foundation. The way to know that you got the wrong concealer shade is when you put it on, you're blending out, and you're looking ashy. Anytime you're looking ashy, that's foundation, that's concealer or whatever, that means it's too light. It's too light, or it could be too cool too, but most of the time it's too light. So that means you need to go down a step or 2 or 3 in the color that you chose. All right. So once I blended that out, again, I go back with my foundation brush, and you see the edges, how the edges are harsh. I just kind of pat over those edges with my foundation brush. Again, I did not add anything to this brush. You see how that already looks better there. Just kind of go over the edges. So that is that. That's it. So very simple, pretty easy. I'm gonna go ahead and finish the rest of my makeup and come back and show you guys the final look. All right, you guys, we are highlighted, we are contoured, we are snatched. All right, this is the final look after everything was done. So sorry, my hair. Okay, so I hope this was helpful for you guys as far as highlighting and contouring. If there was anything that I missed or that I did not cover, please comment down below, ask me the questions that you need, or if I need to do an updated video with some other stuff that I left out, please let me know. But I gave all the information that I feel like you guys would need. But again, if I left something out, just leave a comment below, ask me what you need to, or let me know if this was helpful for you guys. And I hope that you like this tutorial. I hope you like these videos. I would definitely have more beginner makeup videos coming soon. And yeah, please like, comment, subscribe, share with y'all friends who need to know how to highlight and contour, honey. Help a sister out. And I will talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.